Bum, 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 bum. Welcome back, my friend. This is BjjBrick Quick. My name is Byron. This is your quick Jiu-Jitsu podcast. Hang on now. Start the timer. We'll be done in just a little bit. This week I have a theme. I'm calling it the elements of change. Recently, my wife and I, that was about a month ago by the time this airs, went to Utah. We flew into Salt Lake City, rented a car, headed south. Salt Lake City was cool. It has a really, we did the salt flats there. Anyway, headed south, went to Arches National Park, went to Canyonlands National Park, and another one, Capitol Reef National Park, and Goblin Valley. It's a state park. We went to a lot of different places. But a theme I kept seeing was like the elements of change. So Arches National Park, whether you know what it is or not, you've seen a picture of like the delicate arch. And an arch is like a rock formation with a hole in it. I don't know how to describe it. It's like the St. Louis Arch, but it's rock. And it's formed by wind. Now you can see something right next to it. It's called a bridge. It looks the same, but it's formed by water. There are different elements that have changed this landscape. Utah was a beautiful state. If you weren't looking for a place to vacation, now it's a little bit hotter. Maybe not the perfect time, but a really pretty state. I didn't really know how crazy it was going to be. And I've been to the other national parks there, like Bryant. What's the other one? You got time to draw a blank here, Byron. Zion National Park and Bryce Canyon National Park. Anyways. So how do things change in Jiu-Jitsu? It's only taken me 2 minutes to get to this point. I don't know. I think it's interesting to kind of, sometimes I have a hard time thinking like, what's the theme going to be for this week? And elements of change was kind of what I got coming out of Utah. Like things change. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it goes kind of quickly. In Jiu-Jitsu, like what's making us change? Why is your game changing over time? And as you get settled into Jiu-Jitsu, you get that couple of years on the mat or so, you kind of get a game. You have things you like, you have things you don't like. And you might feel like this is it. This is my game. I'm locked in. I'm going to be this type of Jiu-Jitsu player, forever. But there are forces working behind the scenes. Like erosion on your back. No, that are going to change things. The first one, and we've all been there, maybe not all of us, but getting injury, getting banged up a little bit, that's going to change the way you roll. And these are this podcast, and I'm going to try to do another one here pretty soon with the former host Gary and Joe. But Gary changes his game when he gets injured. Who doesn't? But he gets injured more than most. I'd say injured. He gets banged up sometimes, or he's not getting surgery all the time. Anyway, when you get injured, that's a time to change your game. And it might be that you play a different, half guard game, or I know Gary, I think he's protecting his right arm when he plays half guard a certain way. Like he's a little cautious of that maybe. So that's why he does this type of half guard. Myself, as a purple belt, I was a triangle guy. I don't remember the first time I tapped a black belt, but I know it was a triangle. That's the only thing I could have had that would have done that. It was, unless they're like playing around or, not being super, tough rolls. But probably the first several times I tapped a black belt or a brown belt would have been a triangle choke. That was my best choke by far, my best submission by far. I started getting stacked sometimes. It was part of the game. That's fine. But sometimes, like I mentioned last week, it's like rolling the dice. It's not flipping a coin, but rolling the dice. And they have those dice that have like a whole bunch of sides on them. And my number comes up. And my back is sore for the next day. Or sore for a week. I kind of found this unacceptable. So I took the best part of my game and I took it out. Does that change things in my jiu-jitsu? Yes, it did. That changed a lot of things in my jiu-jitsu, but it also changed that I felt better. My back didn't hurt me on a regular basis. So getting injured, you might find like a hand injury would be pretty game-changing. Like if you grip, your right hand inside the gi call or whatever, and your right hand gets a little banged up, or you've hurt your arm, suddenly that's not your best grip anymore. You maybe switch it. Just that one change is going to have like a ripple effect on your whole game. So one element of change is injury, and it's frustrating. I had this whole system built around, getting to a couple different particular guards, getting to a couple of really slick setups that either I'm going to force a sweep or force you to give me that setup for the triangle choke. And then, the procedure to finish that triangle and not let them out of that lock until they decided to tap. Had all this thing set up. It was a big part of my jiu-jitsu. And I changed it to avoid injury, but the same thing, injury. So one of my teammates has a torn bicep he's recovering from. His game has changed. He's not doing the same techniques. I have another teammate that has an injury to his pec, and his strength in an arm is not the same. It's still stronger than my arm, but not the same. His game is changing. You might play if you're right-handed, you might play a right-handed dominant game until boom, that happens. And now you find, my left grip is actually a little bit harder for them to break. What can we do with this? Try not to be super frustrated by this element of change. You might find something better. You might move on. I moved from being a guard player to a top player, and I like it better. I think it fits me better as I get older. I think it's a little easier on my body. It's a little easier on the cardio system. Anyways, it's one that'll creep up on you. If you note it before it actually happens, you might be able to avoid an injury, changing part of your game. If you've enjoyed the podcast, I'd appreciate your support on Patreon. Hope you have a great day, my friend, and stay sweaty.